the sands and the sun's warm embrace, whispers of tales that time cannot erase. A duggo sings where the rivers roam, stories of wonder will call you home. From the drum beats loud to the stars so bright, her voice rises bold in the heart of the night. Every story an adventure untold, a journey crafted in courage and gold. Africa tales by a doggo she sings, where every story spreads its wings. A world of magic where dreams unfold, in her voice the secret's told.
The next morning, Comfort woke up with a sense of determination. She was going to do this. She didn't know exactly what it would look like, but she knew she had to try. She packed her bags with a few bags of her best popcorn, chin-chin and granuts, and with a deep breath, she set off to meet Mr. Adewale. When she arrived at the venue, her heart thudded in her chest. It was a large hotel with shiny marble floors and gold trim. Everything looked so different from the roadside stalls she was used to. She felt out of place, like a small fish swimming in an ocean of sharks. But Comfort held her head high. Mr. Adewale greeted her warmly when she arrived. "You made it. I knew you would." He led her through the halls, introducing her to other caterers and workers who were setting up for the event. They all had a confident air about them, moving with ease in the world Comfort had never stepped into. But instead of feeling intimidated, she felt a spark of excitement. Maybe this was the world she could be a part of, too. "Don't worry about anything, Comfort," Mr. Adewale said. "Just set up your store here and everything will go smoothly. We will handle the rest." Comfort looked around. Her little roadside snacks, so simple, so humble, were going to be served to a crowd of well-dressed people in suits and gowns. She couldn't help but wonder, would they even like it? As the guests began to arrive, Comfort's nerves grew. She was about to serve food to people who didn't know her, didn't know the long hours she had spent perfecting her recipes. They didn't know the heart she had poured into each bag of popcorn. What if they didn't care? What if they just looked down on her work? But when the first person stepped up to her stall, she forced a smile and handed them a bag of fresh popcorn. The woman looked at the snack, raised an eyebrow, and then took a bite. Comfort held her breath. The woman chewed slowly and then smiled. "This is really good," she said, nodding appreciatively. "Where did you get this from?" Comfort's smile widened. "I make it myself," she said proudly. The woman's eyes widened. "Really? This is amazing. I am going to tell all my friends about this." The next few hours were a blur of faces and smiles. One after another, people came to try Comfort's popcorn and snacks, and one after another, they were impressed. Comfort felt a growing sense of pride with every compliment, every new person who took a bite and looked pleasantly surprised. They were loving it. They were loving something she had made with her hands. By the end of the evening, Comfort was exhausted but happy Mr. Adewale came by to check on her. "You did an amazing job," he said, clapping her on the back. "I knew you had it in you." Comfort could hardly believe it. "Really? You think so?" "I know so," Mr. Adewale replied. "You are a natural. You've got something special." Comfort: "I think we can do even bigger events together." For the first time in a long while, Comfort felt the weight of doubt lifting from her shoulders. She had stepped out of her comfort zone, and in doing so, she had found something new about herself. Maybe this new path wasn't so scary after all. As she packed up her things and walked back to her small home later that night, Comfort knew that no matter how many shiny pictures or grand events came her way, she would always return to the streets, to her store, to the people who had seen her when no one else did. And that was enough. The days following the event at the hotel felt like a dream to Comfort. She had never imagined that her simple roadside business could lead her into such an extravagant world, where people praised her work and offered her opportunities she had only ever dreamed of. Yet, as the excitement wore off, a lingering question began to haunt her. Was she ready for all this change? Would her small familiar world still feel the same now that she had stepped into the bigger one? Comfort spent the following week working at her usual store, but this time, her mind was divided. Every so often, she would catch herself thinking about the grand banquet, the stylish guests, the smiles of approval from people who had never known her before. It felt like a different world, one that seemed so far from the heat of the roadside and the hands-on work she'd always known. One afternoon, just as she was setting up her store for the day, Mr. Adewale called again. "Comfort, I have some good news," he said with excitement in his voice. "We have another event coming up in 2 weeks. It's a charity gala, and we want you to cater again. This time, it's even bigger. The guest list is full of high-profile people, business tycoons, influential figures from all over. What do you think?" Comfort's heart raced as she stood behind the store, trying to picture the glamorous world Mr. Adewale was describing. 2 weeks, another event. Could she really do this again? Was she ready to take her snacks beyond the roadside once more? "I am not sure," she said hesitantly. "I am just a small vendor, Mr. Adewale. I don't have the experience for something like this. What if I mess it up?" "You won't mess it up," Mr. Adewale reassured her. "I believe in you. You proved yourself at the last event. People loved your food and you handled everything so well. You have what it takes." Comfort stood silent for a moment. The fear of failure tugged at her. But then she thought of the little boy, Chika, and how she had taught him to trust himself and work hard for what he wanted. If she could teach him that, why couldn't she do the same for herself? "Okay, I'll do it," she said, feeling a sense of determination settle in her chest. "I'll take the opportunity." Mr. Adewale laughed with joy. "That's what I like to hear. You won't regret it, Comfort. I'll send you the details soon. We will make sure everything's ready for you." She stood still for a moment. Something was shifting inside her. She wasn't sure what it was, but she could feel it. A deep awareness that she was stepping into a new chapter of her life. A chapter where the stakes were higher, but the rewards were greater too. For the next 2 weeks, Comfort threw herself into preparing for the gala. She woke up earlier and stayed up later, experimenting with new recipes, perfecting her popcorn seasoning, and making sure everything was just right. It wasn't easy. There were days when she was exhausted, when her hands ached from working so much, but she kept going. She knew this was her chance to prove herself, not just to the world, but to herself as well. On the day of the event, Comfort arrived at the venue with a mixture of excitement and nerves. This time, she wasn't just setting up a small stall on the roadside. This time, the people would be dressed in gowns and tuxedos, sipping champagne and eating hors d'oeuvres. She was about to serve her simple snacks to a crowd who, by all standards, should have been far above her. As she set up her station, Mr. Adewale came over with a big smile. "Comfort, you look great. Everything is ready. Let's make this event one to remember." Comfort smiled nervously. She had on a simple dress, nothing fancy, but it made her feel like she belonged. The contrast between her humble attire and the opulence around her only made her more aware of how out of place she seemed. But as the guests began to arrive and the noise of laughter and conversation filled the air, Comfort took a deep breath. When the first person came to her stall, she felt that familiar knot in her stomach. But this time, she was ready. She greeted them with a warm smile and offered them a taste of her popcorn. The woman took a bite and paused, her eyes lighting up. "This is amazing," she said. "Where did you get this?" Comfort laughed softly. "I made it myself. Everything here is homemade." As the evening wore on, more and more people came to her stall, and each one seemed more impressed than the last. Some were curious about where she had learned to make such delicious snacks. Others asked about her business. Comfort told them about the journey she had taken, about how she started from the roadside and worked her way up, bit by bit. She shared her passion for her food, and before long, people were asking for her business card, inviting her to future events. It was surreal. By the end of the evening, Comfort's feet were sore, her hands tired, but her heart was full. She had done it. She had shown everyone, not just the guests, not just Mr. Adewale, but most importantly, herself, that she was more than just a roadside snack vendor. She was someone with the potential to go further, to push past her fears and reach for something bigger. As she packed up her things and prepared to leave, Mr. Adewale approached her once again. His smile broad. "Comfort, you were amazing tonight. People loved you. You have a real gift. I am looking forward to working with you on more events in the future. The sky is the limit." Comfort felt a sense of pride swell within her. This was just the beginning. She had walked into a new world, one that seemed impossible just a few months ago. But now it was hers to navigate, and as long as she stayed true to herself, she knew she could handle anything that came her way. The road ahead was full of uncertainty, but Comfort had learned that it was also full of possibilities, and she was ready to take the next step, whatever it might be. The weeks after the charity gala passed in a blur of excitement and opportunity. Comfort's phone buzzed constantly with calls and messages from event organizers, curious guests, and even people from the local neighborhood who had seen her work at the gala. Everyone seemed eager to know more about her snacks, to find out how they could get their hands on them. At first, Comfort felt overwhelmed. Her small roadside stall had always been enough for her. She knew how to handle it and the pace was familiar. But now, she was juggling calls from catering events, requests for her menu, and planning for more opportunities. It was thrilling but exhausting. Her hands were sore from working non-stop, and the quiet moments she used to cherish felt fewer and farther between. One morning, as she stood behind her stall chopping up ingredients for the day's batch of snacks, Amanda walked by. It had been a while since they had seen each other. Amanda had been busy with her life in Lagos, and Comfort had been caught up in her newfound success. But there was no mistaking the look on Amanda's face when she saw Comfort's bustling stall and the crowd gathered around it. "Comfort," Amanda called out, rushing over to her. "I didn't know you were still selling snacks here. I thought you would have moved on by now. You know, gotten bigger deals by now, like the one you had at that event." Comfort smiled at her, but there was a sharpness in her heart. Amanda's words were loaded with the same energy that had once pulled her away from what she knew, the same energy that had told her to dream bigger, reach higher, leave behind what she had built. "I am still here, Amanda," Comfort said, her voice steady. "And yes, I have had some big events, but this is where I started, and this is where I want to be. It's not all about looking for the next big thing. Sometimes, the best things are already right in front of you." Amanda raised an eyebrow, clearly skeptical. "But don't you think you should go bigger now? You've got the chance. Why stay here, slaving over popcorn when you could be doing so much more? Don't let fear hold you back, Comfort. You have the beauty, the talent. People would pay to see more of you." Comfort's heart tightened. She had heard those words before. They were tempting, seductive even. The idea of glamour, of being seen, of stepping into a world where people treated you differently, where people treated you like you were somebody important. But Comfort had learned something that day at the gala. Being important didn't mean being seen by the world. It meant being seen by the people who mattered most, the people who knew her, who saw her struggle, and respected her for the work she put in. "I am not afraid, Amanda," Comfort said softly, locking eyes with her. "I just don't want what you want. I've been there, remember. I've chased the pretty pictures, the fame, the idea that things are better on the other side. But the truth is, I am already doing the most important thing I can. I am being true to myself. Amanda looked at her for a long moment, her eyes narrowing. Comfort could see the disappointment there, the judgment. It wasn't new. It had been there all along. A quiet undercurrent beneath their friendship. Fine, Amanda said after a pause, throwing her hands up. But don't come crying to me when you realize you could have had it all. You have so much potential, Comfort. So much more than this. Comfort watched her leave. The sting of Amanda's words lingering in the air like a bitter aftertaste. But this time, it didn't hurt the way it used to. She had learned to trust her own voice. The voice that told her success wasn't defined by a certain picture or a life on display. It was about the work, the joy and the fulfillment that came with it. As Comfort went back to work, a familiar face approached her stall. It was Chika, the little boy from the neighborhood who had once asked her about Instagram. He looked different now, taller, more grown up, but his eyes still had that same thoughtful gleam. Comfort, you are still here? He asked with a smile. Comfort laughed, handing him a bag of popcorn. Yep, still here, and still doing what I love. How is school? It's going well, Chika said, taking the popcorn from her. I wanted to ask you something. My mom was talking about how she's trying to start her own business, but she's not sure how to do it. I told her about you, how you started with just a little store, and now you've got big events. How do you do it? Comfort smiled at the boy, the pride in his voice reminding her of why she had started this journey in the first place. You know, Chika, it wasn't easy. There were days I almost gave up. But you have to stay patient. The right opportunity will come, and when it does, you grab it. But you also remember where you started and who you are. That's the most important thing. Chika nodded eagerly, his eyes wide with admiration. I will tell my mom that. Thanks, Comfort. Comfort watched him run off, a small seed of hope blossoming in her chest. She wasn't just selling snacks. She was teaching people something bigger. She was showing them that success didn't always come in shiny packages or grand events. Sometimes, it came from the simplest things, like the joy of working hard and staying true to your own path. As the evening settled in, Comfort packed up her things, feeling a quiet satisfaction in her heart. She had made the right choice. Maybe the world had its idea of what success looked like. But Comfort knew that true success was never about fitting in. It was about being yourself, standing tall even when no one was watching. The road ahead was still full of unknowns, and there were sure to be more challenges. But Comfort was ready for whatever came next. After all, the most beautiful things in life often came from the simplest beginning. The weeks that followed brought Comfort both challenges and victory. The event requests kept coming, and with each one, her confidence grew. But she hadn't forgotten the lesson she had learned from her small roadside stall. The lesson of patience, authenticity, and hard work. As much as the glitzy events and high-profile guests were thrilling, they weren't what kept Comfort grounded. It was the simple joy of making food with her hands, the pride she felt when a familiar face came up to her stall, and the feeling of knowing she had created something special from nothing. One afternoon, as Comfort was cleaning her stall and getting ready to leave for the day, she received an unexpected visitor. It was her mother, smiling softly as she approached, her weathered hands clutching a small bag of oranges from the market. "Mama, you are here," Comfort said, rushing over to hug her. "I wanted to see how you were doing," her mother replied. "You've been so busy lately, Comfort. I miss our time together." Comfort smiled, her heart aching with a deep affection for the woman who had supported her through thick and thin. "I miss you too, Mama, but I am okay. I am just trying to make things work. I am trying to show everyone what I can do." Her mother sat down on the small bench beside Comfort's stall, taking a deep breath. "I know you want more, Comfort. I know you dream of bigger things, but never forget where you came from. Never forget what has brought you this far. Comfort felt a lump form in her throat. Her mother's words hit her harder than she expected. She had been so caught up in the world of big events and flashy success that she sometimes lost sight of the small quiet moments that had shaped her journey. "I won't forget, Mama," Comfort said quietly. "I promise." Her mother smiled warmly, placing a hand on Comfort. "I know you won't, my child. And remember, success doesn't come from the crowd. It comes from the heart. It comes from the work you do, no matter how small or large it is." Comfort felt a deep sense of peace wash over her. She knew now that success wasn't about following someone else's idea of greatness. It was about finding your own path and sticking to it, even when the world tried to pull you into a different direction. A few days later, Comfort received a call from Mr. Dewale. The upcoming event he had been planning was much larger than anything they had done before. It was a food festival that would draw crowds from across the country. He wanted Comfort to be one of the key vendors, and this time, he promised her a bigger space, a more prominent spot. Comfort hesitated. The thought of participating in something so grand, something so much bigger than she had ever imagined, was both thrilling and intimidating. She thought about the long hours, the pressure, and the noise of the crowd. She thought about the advice her mother had given her, and the truth began to settle in her heart. This was her moment, but it didn't have to change who she was. "I will do it," Comfort said, her voice filled with quiet strength. "But I will do it my way. Simple, honest, the way I've always done it." The food festival arrived and Comfort worked tirelessly to make sure everything was perfect. Her stall, though humble, stood out. It wasn't the biggest or the flashiest, but it had something else: authenticity. As the crowd poured in, people stopped to try her snacks, and many stayed, captivated by the stories she shared with them about her journey. It wasn't the glamour of the event that caught their attention. It was the realness of Comfort's passion, the heart she put into every piece of popcorn, every batch of chin-chin. By the end of the day, Comfort was tired, but there was a glow in her heart. She had done it, not for fame, not for applause, but because it was what she loved. She had stayed true to herself, and in doing so, she had found her own success. Later that night, as Comfort walked home, she looked up at the stars. The world around her seemed so big, and yet, for the first time, Comfort felt like she belonged in it. She didn't need to chase the next big thing. She didn't need to fit into anyone else's idea of success. She was enough, just as she was, and that was the most beautiful thing of all. Moral lessons. 1. Stay true to yourself. The world will always try to tell you what success looks like. People will try to pull you in different directions, but true success comes from being authentic and true to your own journey. Comfort found her way by staying grounded and trusting her own path. 2. Hard work pays off. Success doesn't happen overnight. It's built through consistent effort, patience, and dedication. Comfort's journey was long, but every step she took, no matter how small, brought her closer to her goals. 3. Value the simple things. Sometimes we get so caught up in the pursuit of something bigger that we forget to appreciate the small moments that brought us there. Comfort found happiness not in the glamour of big events, but in the simple joy of doing what she loved. 4. Success is personal. There is no one-size-fits-all definition of success. It's not about fame, wealth, or approval from others. It's about doing what makes you happy, proud, and fulfilled. Comfort's greatest success was staying true to herself no matter where life took her. 5. The journey matters more than the destination. The path to success is not easy, but it's the journey that shapes us. Every challenge, every setback, and every victory is a part of who we become. We have come to the end of the story. If you love this video, Please kindly share with your loved ones, leave us a comment on your opinion, and subscribe for another interesting video like this. Until I see you all on the next one. Bye for now.
The rivers roam. Stories of wonder will call you home. From the drum beats loud to the stars so bright.